God. There is no God worthy of worship except for him, the ever-living, the all-sustaining. Neither drowsiness nor sleep overtakes him. To him belongs whatever is in the heaven and the earth. Who could possibly intercede with him without his permission? He fully knows what is ahead of him and what is behind them. What is ahead of them and what is behind them. But no one can grasp any of his knowledge except for what he wills to reveal. His seat encompasses the heavens and the earth, and the preservation of both does not tire him. For he is the most high, the most great. It takes the word, the weird thing is that God, the word God is okay, but I think it comes with like these Christian connotations, which is like some guy in the sky. Take the word God out of the scenario for a second. Replace it with the source. Replace the word with the source. So the source. There is no source worthy of worship except for him. There is no source worthy of worship. There's nothing that exists without God. There is no God but God. It's the source. It's the everything. Nothing else exists except for by his creation. I think this is what, I'm not but I think this is what this ayah is trying to unveil. That there is a source. He creates something. And then he says, there is no God worthy of worship except for him. Well, if God is the source, if God created everything, then why would there be something worthy of worship except for him? Imagine God created something and then you worship the thing that he created except for the creator. Wouldn't that be really silly? Wouldn't that be really silly? So you have to think that this soul, like you're here, you come from something. You have popped into this planet and you're looking around. Hey, what am I doing here? You popped into this planet and then you're going to pop out of this planet and you cling to life, which is also fascinating that a human being would cling to life. How nervous are we of death? And the reason why we're so nervous of death is because we don't know where we're going to go. But we are energy. You are a source of energy. My hat is on funny. We are a source of energy. So maybe the energy, your soul is the energy within you, right? And you're tested with different things just to figure out who you are, what kind of person you are. So imagine you're given a huge negative things that are really negative. You would think it's negative, but it might not be negative. It might be a positive. Maybe you go through something super traumatic in your life. Maybe right now you're going through something super traumatic. Well, there's two modes of being. You could say, well, I hate that this is happening. I'm not going to learn anything from it. And it's not going to worth it. Or you can go, hey, there's an opportunity to grow here. How did I get into this position? What happened here? And if you think in the second way, the latter, maybe you can think that God is giving you difficult things to test your soul so you can strengthen your character, so you can have something to push off of. Think of the bad things that happen to your life as weights to lift up off, so you can become stronger. You need something to push off of, like the ground to push off of. And that's what a negative thing is. How would the world be if we were just given positive after positive after positive after positive? Well, look around. You can see those people. Isn't it true that the people who are given all these good things in their life, they end up sitting sideways. They end up going sideways. They're giving blessing after blessing after blessing after blessing. And they never get to think that they're blessed. Why? Because it's ordinary for them to be blessed. If you came from a place where you don't have anything and then you got something, you feel fortunate. But if you always had that good thing, you never feel fortunate. In other words, sorry, I don't know if that's confusing or not. But what I'm saying is that you go through bad things. Your soul goes through bad things to strengthen itself. And then your soul goes through good things so you can humble yourself. It has to be the yin and the yang. It's connected. So if you go through a bad thing, it's a teachable moment. It's a learnable moment. And if something good happens in your life, you have to be careful that it doesn't corrupt you. Something good. Well, you don't know what's good or bad depending on how you connect to that thing. I'll give you an example. So I had a friend. Friend was he's not anymore, but he was a gambling addict. He didn't start out like that, but he started gambling when he was like 18, 19. And when he gambled, he won a whole bunch of money. He won like $200,000 by the time we were 19 years old. He was my friend back when I was in high school. He won like $200,000 or maybe even more. So we had unlimited money. I'm telling you guys, that money corrupted him. It destroyed him. It made him into a different person. He became obese. He became addicted to alcohol. He became addicted to food. He became addicted to the ladies. He became addicted to a whole bunch of things that weren't good for him, and he destroyed himself. You know when he got better? When his life fell apart, everything crashed and he had to pick up all the pieces. He needed the struggle to grow. So how do you know that something is bad for you? You don't. And this is why I would say you need the wisdom of God, the source. Because what are you going to do? You're going to rely on the wisdom of yourself? How are we going to do that? We don't know what we're doing here. We just got here. We believe in the presuppositions of other people, but they don't know what they're talking about either. So you have to have an objective morality. So then in 256, God says, let there be no compulsion in religion, for truth stands out clearly from falsehood. You know what's good or bad. You can feel it in your heart. You can feel it, but you blind yourself. You blind yourself with good things. That's what I'm noticing with people. They get all these blessings, but isn't it fascinating? Like with a human being, if you give them a lot of blessings, they forget that they're blessed. People are always in, you have a full stomach, everything's going well, you forget about God, you just keep going in your life. The world gets shaken up, and then what happens? You go, oh God, please, please. Because he's there, but the good made you forget. You've been blinded by sugar, blinded by sweet things. So you can't let yourself be blind by the good or the bad. So this is what I think that 256, this is what I'm looking at 256 from now. Let there be no compulsion in religions, for truth stands out clearly from falsehood. So whoever renounces false gods, false value hierarchies of belief that don't belong to God, whoever renounces false gods and believes in God has certainly grasped the firmest, unfailing handhold. So when you go through something negative and you hold on to that belief in God, that means that's an opportunity for you to learn and for you to grow. You go to something positive and you say thank you to God. It's an opportunity for you to be humble. But that's why you're holding on to a firm handhold. And God is all hearing and all knowing. God is the guardian of the believers. He brings them out of darkness and into light. The light of knowing why you're here, why you're created. And the people, isn't it funny, the people in darkness are always in fear. And what are they in fear of? They fear death. Why do they fear death? Because they fear the unknown. But if you know God, then you can't fear death. How can you fear death? Because you're not scared of the unknown. You are in light. As for the disbelievers, their guardians are false gods who lead them out of the light into the darkness. We can do a whole video on this, but really what that is, it's everything else. You can live that kind of life, but you can't look at it as a God. And a God is based off your value hierarchy, your hierarchy of values, your hierarchy of beliefs. It is they who will be residents of the fire. Why? Because they destroyed their own soul. They will be there forever. I think it's important to realize that you come from a source, and a source you're going to return. And while you're here, your soul is being tested. Thanks for listening.